Joined as always by Geoff Fienberg. It is Friday. It's Cinco de Mayo. The vibes are high. A lot of bets to get into. But first of all, Geoff, how you doing?
I am doing well, although I don't know the last couple days haven't I've been struggling to find winner's circle, not gonna lie.
I'm right there with you. A couple bets yesterday that just did not go my way. I do feel better about today's slate, so we are going to dive into it. Geoff, we have to start with your Toronto teams. What happened yesterday? They let me down. I think they let a lot of people down. That's what the people want to know.
Yeah, that was a bad loss for the Maple Leafs, who really had the entire bracket sort of break their way. And as we joked on I guess it would have been Monday that or what after the Bruins lost, them being the favorite now to win the cup after everything, like it wasn't setting up well. It was setting up for a hard crash, and that has happened. And I guess on part of that, I've been betting the Blue Jays the last couple days. Maybe not giving the Red Sox enough respect, but they certainly have my respect now as those Yoshida Rookie of the Year numbers were tumbling. I was over on oddschecker.com US grid last night checking out how hard that Rookie of the Year number is tumbling on Yoshida, but the Jays just got worked. Leafs got worked. My account got worked.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, yesterday, I both Toronto teams. I went in. I had the Leafs -1. Felt good about that. They went up 2-0 early. It was like, you know what? No way they're losing that pivotal game 2 at home. They did. Shout out to the Panthers playing some great hockey right now. And that Blue Jays game, I was right there with you. Kevin Gall's been looking to avoid a sweep, and I looked at the score in the second inning, and it was 6-0. So that was a quick loss. You know what? I kind of shout out to them for making it a little more painless. The Maple Leafs made us hang on a little bit. But you know what? Yesterday's in the rear view. It's all about today. It's all about what we will do on this show. Exciting show coming for you guys. Guys, we're going to do some NBA, NHL, MLB. I am going to get a ladder pick out for you. I'm going to do a nerfy pick. Jeff's going to give you guys all his picks. So a lot to get into. But first, let's start this off with some NBA. We got my 76ers taking on the Celtics. Huge game tonight in the association. Jeff, listen, I'm obviously a little bit biased here, so we're going to get your thoughts on this first, and then I will rebound off of you. And I'll let you know what I'm liking.
I've got no documented picks in the NBA tonight. I wasn't surprised, obviously, to see Boston bounce back in game 2, but I think this is going to be a bit of a zigzag series. I'd blindly lean the Sixers at home in this one to take a lead, but I think we're going back to Boston 2-all.
Yeah, I think Philly gets done tonight. Again, am I biased here? Maybe a little bit. All right. It's tough when your team's in this spot, but I'm also looking at the numbers here. I'm seeing 78% of the bets right now coming in on Boston on the spread. A big reason of that, Jeff, it's like gambling. It's like anything else in life. When a player drops 50 in a game, it's recency bias, right? It's what just happened the day before. People look too into that. Boston beat the brakes off of Philadelphia in game 2. The game was really never competitive once it hit the second half. Philly kind of kept it respectable early on. They did what they could. It was never close, right? I mean, the game was over before it was over. Tonight, though, we get a spot where Philadelphia is at home. The crowd's going to be fired up. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. I think the 76ers do bounce back. I would take them on the money line here at plus 120 as we see at FanDuel. Also think Joel Embiid, who, again, he's playing through a pretty major injury. Reports have come out that said, this kind of injury would typically take a couple of more weeks to get back. So he's pushing through. He's not 100%. But his total tonight is down at 25.5, even 24.5. Some places. Yeah. So I think he gets it. I think he gets over it tonight at 25.5 just because, again, he had a poor game in game 1 against Boston, or in game 2 against Boston. He's back tonight. He's at home. I think we see a big game from Embiid. His minutes did not seem all that restricted. It was a little tough to tell because, they kind of pulled the starters out come fourth quarter. But I think we see a lot of minutes from Embiid tonight, high usage, and I think he gets over this number.
I love the over 25.5 for Embiid tonight. And I would probably argue you should even look for some alternates, that even have like 30, 32. Right. Like I wouldn't be afraid. I'm not exact sure on the details, but he'll be honored for his MVP. Maybe they even hand him a trophy. I certainly don't think they do an award show, right? So yeah, I think he makes good on that on that designation tonight. I feel way more confident in that than I do in deciding who's going to win the game.
Yeah, I think the prop's probably safer. I would say that, right? But I think Philly here holds a ton of value. Again, you're getting the angle of fading the public heavy off of that big time Boston performance. You expect some regression from them. Listen, they've shot the lights out in the first two games of this series. In game one, they shot. I forget what it was. It was one of the best percentages ever in a playoff game from the floor. Philly was able to steal it. Again, advantage Philly in this series, right? If you told me they'd come out of Boston 1-1 without Joel Embiid for one of those games, I would not have believed you. I thought they were going to lose both games in Boston. Big time win for Philly in Boston. But now tonight, I do like the 76ers to bounce back. All right, this is a game that I've been looking at all week. We've had a big gap in between this game as well. Suns Nuggets. So this game is massive tonight for the Suns. They're down 0-2 in this series. Obviously, Phoenix comes into the playoffs. They were the favorite, Jeff, to win the whole thing. There was the Suns and there was the Celtics. The reason for that, the main reason for that, the trade of Kevin Durant that they made really sparked the team. But here's what I will say. What we've seen in this series is how thin this Suns bench can be. They don't have Chris Paul. I think campaign slides into that role tonight. That trade for Durant, obviously it's Kevin Durant. Obviously it was a good deal. But you did give up a ton of your bench pieces. Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, all those guys who were extremely valuable to this Suns team, which would shorten their depth a little bit. What do you think about the Suns tonight? Without Chris Paul, they are a 4-point favorite.
I do not like the Suns tonight. I don't know that I'm going to be betting on Denver, but I could make a strong case that the 4.5 is pretty disrespectful to how well Denver's been playing. Obviously, without Paul, that's going to have a huge factor. I'm really attracted to the 4-1s plus 400s that exist on Denver to win the title. They're as dominant a home team as there is in the league. They'll be home. I don't see them giving up what they've earned to start this series. It's not going to be as fun as Steph or LeBron in the next round. But yeah, I mean, I know that's not specific to this game, but in related to how I feel Denver's probably being disrespected on the point spread tonight with all those circumstances in Phoenix, I do believe that 4-1 is pretty fair, more than fair for where we sit in the current landscape of the West.
Where this is what we'll be disagreeing on, Jeff, but I see the angle there with the Nuggets. I'm just going by the spread. Like the fact that the Suns are -4 here, as poorly as they've played in the first two games, this is a game where, that crazy NBA trend right now going on, like teams that lose game one at home, they bounce back in game two. I forget, it's like 16 in a row that they've won.
It's a dominant trend, especially as like quality favorites as well.
Right. Yeah. So the line here is a little shorter, obviously at 4. Look, if you want to take a money line of -186, I wouldn't do that here tonight. I definitely think they win the game. Covering a spread at 4 in the NBA here, like we always say, you could foul into this kind of spread if it's a super close game the whole time. I will say, though, that this is a desperation spot for the Suns. Like, the Suns have to win this game tonight or the series is over. Like, there's just no other way around it. So, in a desperate spot, I like Phoenix. I think they come out in this game. I think they dominate. I did find a prop here. If you want to get a little crazy and ladder up a player tonight, if you get like Kevin Durant, Jeff, we're going all the way up to 40 tonight. I think we see a legacy performance from KD. Listen, Devin Booker's been outstanding in these playoffs. One of the top scorers in the postseason so far. Durant's been good, but we know Durant can be better. I think we see a big-time performance tonight from KD. Obviously, without Chris Paul, that opens up a little bit more from a scoring standpoint for Booker and Durant. Not much. Paul's kind of, switched his game into being a pass-first guy. Especially with Booker and Durant. Now, he doesn't do a ton of scoring, but Durant anyway, I do think he gets to this number tonight. And I think the value there is just way too good to pass up. So Kevin Durant tonight, if you take him 40 plus, you can get a great price on that. That is another bet that I want to look at, but I do think ultimately Phoenix gets this done and they get this win. Let's shift gears to the MLB, Jeff. We got a few games. We got an early game that we're going to touch on that. Shout out to the Cubs. Every Friday, they are our only hope of day baseball. But we're looking at the team that we were just ripping on, the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Pirates. What do you got?
This is just now me in my own little orbit. now. Like, you can tail it caution because I'm just trying to save myself from the last few days here on the Blue Jays. They're too good. They've lost 5 games in a row now after blowing the Sunday game versus the Mariners. They got lost a 4-game sweep in Boston. They head into Pittsburgh. It's Bassett versus Rich Hill. Bassett will be very familiar with all these National League faces. The scary thing about my wager, though, is that the Pirates have lost 4 in a row.
Yes.
And trying to play this thing like it's a roulette wheel, black-red on the Blue Jays side, I believe, and chasing that, I believe that there are probably people who probably spent the last few days back in Pittsburgh who might feel like they're in the same spot. At least to them, kudos, they get plus money, so the loss will hurt way less. For me, it'll sting. I'm laying the 40 cents on the Blue Jays. It's a determined group. They get off the mat in PNC.
Yeah, it's a tough game because you mentioned that's very similar to how I bet. A regressional team, they're due. Although I will say that has not worked with some teams this year, especially the St. Louis Cardinals. Have a game that they're due, Jeff. They have not been due. This is its spot, though. I'm staying away just because of what the Blue Jays did to me yesterday. Really let me down. I will cheer you on, though. I do think Toronto is due for a win for sure. Guys, my no-run bet of the day, I do want to slip this in real quick while we got everyone here. We are going to go with the Nerfy of the White Sox and the Reds. All right. So, listen, if the White Sox swung the bats like they did yesterday for the majority of the game, we should be good here. Don't know if you caught that game. I think it went to 12 innings, and the White Sox were able to somehow win that one. They got out of multiple jams, bases loaded, no outs. Heck of a win for the White Sox. But today, they do face Hunter Green. Green's a guy who just signed a massive contract. I know his numbers don't necessarily indicate that he's a top-tier arm, but he's a guy that I'm very high on. I think he can come out, kind of limit this Chicago lineup early. On the flip side, we got Lance Lynn on the mound. We know Cincinnati offensively just not all that good. So I think that's going to be a solid look today for us. No runs there in the first inning. White Sox and Reds, that's my look on that game, Jeff. Just cheer me on. We need 6 outs, 6 glorious outs, and we're 3-1 so far doing these on the show. So we're off to a pretty good start of the new show, I would say, the revamp of the Morning Edge. We are 3-1 doing these. So have had a successful campaign so far, but that's Reds, White Sox, no run, first inning. That's the bet. Jeff,
I'm so afraid to tail because I openly said I am not getting involved in the no run first inning. And you've obviously gotten off to this great little clip here. I don't know. I feel like I'll jump on and bring you backwards.
Listen, and the thing is, they're just fun.
I hate them. Well, they are fun.
They're very
in the same way. You know what else would be fun? Phoenix Suns, first quarter, down 2-0, home crowd.
See? It would. So that's what I'm saying. Listen, there's multiple ways of having fun with this. We've kind of experimented the hockey, no goals first 10 minutes. I feel like everyone we've talked about, it did not go the way it was supposed to. So maybe it's a good thing we're not betting them. Let's just stay on the diamond. Let's get 6 outs today. Lance Lynn, Hunter Green, go out, do your job. You're paid.
I've been disciplined enough to stay away from pretty much all of that. Like race to 10, first quarter, no run, no goal. Yeah.
Than me, Jeff. Yeah, I get sucked into it. The followers.
I don't blame you. I used to be there. I don't know.
Sometimes you just got to switch it up and switch the angles up on the bet. So that is where we're going today with the no-run first inning. All right, we have a couple more money line bets that we want to get into. Jeff, this is a game I think that you're looking at, Rockies Mets. What do you got here?
I'm going back to a K prop this game. I'm going with Senga over 5.5 Ks, 32 Ks, 26 innings. The Rockies come to town. The Mets are floundering. There's bats. I don't really care about them. I believe in one of his 6 or 7 appearances this year, he wouldn't have met this number. I'm going to lay the bit of juice, but the Rockies see an unknown in Senga tonight, and he will get us over 5.5 Ks.
Love that. K props have been hot. I will say that. You like the Nerfies have been hot. The K props on your end have been very hot. So I will be riding that tonight. All right, one more MLB game, guys, before we shift gears to the NHL, and then we will get to that ladder pick at the end. Early game here, Cubs and Marlins. Let me get this one out to the followers because I've been getting peppered with questions on this game, Jeff. Of who are we taking here? Are we going Cubs? Are we going Marlins? So let me just tweet this one out real quick, and then we will get to my best bet here. I like the Cubs in this spot. So I actually got a better price here than the money line, slightly better at minus 155 this morning. It has shot up a little bit here, as you guys can see at FanDuel at 166. At this point, look, it's a little juiced. Obviously, there's some juice to this one, but go -1 if you don't want to sip on the juice here in this spot. Chicago, they've been on a little bit of a cold spell. The Washington Nationals has took care of them, made some light work of them over the last few days, which is not something that we expected. The Cubs actually just won one of those games, including losing 3 in a row. Miami's been off to a solid start this season. They're 16-16 overall, but they also have lost 3 in a row. So, Jeff, we're talking about these trends of these teams who've both been, kind of due. Okay. They both are at the moment.
There's an extra layer in this one.
I love it.
And that is simply based on the fact that, yes, the Cubs have lost 3 in a row and to the Nationals in a 4-game series where they did win that first game. But before they went to play the Nationals, they were in Miami, Matt, and the Cubs got swept.
Okay.
They got swept last week in Miami. So, I mean, I guess, they're not going to – are they going to lose again to the Marlins? Are they still pissed about that sweep? Okay. I mean, they got their asses – they went on the road to play the Marlins and the Nationals and went 1-6.
That's not going to work.
Now they're home. It's Friday. The drunk in the bleachers. The sun's starting to come out. I mean – guess it's a heavy price to pay for such a god-awful ball club, I tell you. But we've seen a lot, right? Like, we can't draw any conclusions. The season is long.
Yes.
Like, when you look at the Cubs record, they're game under 500 after losing 6 of their last 7. Look at how a week ago thought like, oh my God, Blue Jays are going to do everything for me. Now it's like, I don't know whether to trust them. I don't know whether they'll get the last outs of any games. I don't know how starters can leave they can't get starters to get out of the first 5 innings. So it's like that dangerous part of baseball season that maybe I've lost a bit this week on, because you've like mentally or like in moments you feel like you've drawn conclusions on teams.
Yes. And you can't do it too quick.
And that is a very dangerous assertion.
Yeah.
And we do, like in football, we always sort of say like week 3 is so dangerous because you just seen these teams twice, you think you know them, and like you're ready to make moves. And there's that crazy stat of like an insane underdog winning in week 3, like I don't want to say every year, maybe someone can stat check it, but if you did, you would see these crazy almost double-digit dogs popping in week 3 as the public loses its shirt making conclusions.
It is true. Listen, the Cubs, at the end of the day, Jeff, you made some really good points there. It's also Wrigley on a Friday afternoon. Going to be a nice day there in Chicago. The atmosphere is going to be great. You cannot fade the Cubbies at home. I don't even know their trends. What's their record at home on a Friday afternoon game? I feel like it's good. The last few years that I've prayed to God that we get a Friday Chicago Cubs home game just to bet on them, I feel like it's gone well for the most part. Again, shout out to the Cubs for playing at home tonight, because if they didn't, we wouldn't have day baseball. So this one does get going in about 2 hours. I also want to point out Justin Steele, the guy on the bump today for the Cubs. He has the lowest earned run average, Jeff, of any pitcher right now in the National League. He's 3rd in the MLB, only ahead of him Sonny Gray, who's having a historic start to the season, 0.77, and Garrett Cole, who's been really sharp, obviously, for the Yankees. So he's in some good company right there. Steele has been off to a great start. He had one half of the year last year where he pitched like this. The other half was completely opposite, but he has the stuff to get it done. So nonetheless, go Cubs. I think they do get it done today. At this point, I might go -1 because this money line has really gotten to a point where it's super juiced. So I think we take a shot there and cash this thing in. All right, real quick, guys, before we get to my ladder pick and my parlay of the day, we are going to touch on a quick NHL game. We got the Canes and the Devils tonight. I think this is going to be a series that goes 7, Jeff. I've said that since the matchup presented itself. Chicago, we're just talking about the Cubs. Carolina was able to take game 1. They controlled it from the start. They went up 3-0. Really was never in doubt I like the dog tonight. Give me the Devils in this spot. I think they bounce back. Like I said, I think these teams split, and they got to see a long series here. I don't see a huge talent difference. I actually think the Devils are the better team. So if they can come in, take one here in Carolina, and get back to the Garden State at 1-1, they're in a good spot. What do you think about this game?
Okay, so I'm gonna fade you there, and
Okay.
I keep hearing an echo. Maybe it's my computer. I'm sorry. You said you're playing the dog. The problem is there a dog here? Because now it's almost like a pick'em hockey game.
Right.
You know, an hour ago it was Carolina. It was the Devils plus 100. I was like, that's silly. Now it's even like the Devils minus 105. That is silly. Now, if you've been watching, betting on the NHL playoffs responsibly this spring or whatever, you've probably noticed that the road teams are playing outstanding. So, but that's not like a long-term narrative. Like last year, I would argue, or I think we saw that home teams won over 60%. I think historically in the hockey playoffs, home teams certainly showed that they're worth what they're worth. I just think the market between this combination of road teams and everyone just blindly wanting to play the zigzag, which is playoff season. We all get caught in that, right? We've spoken about it past weeks or this week on the show. You know, you like playing the zigzag in NBA, and you know the reasons to play it in the NBA when that home team loses the first game. You know, the Devils aren't the home team. I just see no value in playing the Devils in this hockey game with that price right now on the road. That's sort of my overall take. Maybe it took me too many words to get there. I see way too much value, I'd argue, on the Hurricanes tonight.
Yeah, I was on the Canes big in game one. That was my play. I see this series going 7. I think to go 7, yeah, obviously got to get some road wins, right? So I think New Jersey, and like you said, Geoff, this year it's been weird. Like it feels like the road teams have kind of had the upper hand in these games. And listen, Carolina is a great atmosphere. These two teams, their records at the end of the year, Geoff, Carolina 52-21-9, New Jersey 52-22-8, pretty much a identical season. I do want to point out there real quick, New Jersey was the second best road team this year in the National Hockey League. Only team better than them was Boston, who obviously had a historic regular season, even though, you know, they had a first round exit and they are soon to have a second round exit in the NBA with their Celtics. Going to be a tough year to be a Boston fan, Geoff, but I do think the Devils get it done today and win this game. All right, before we head out, guys, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to get a parlay in here that I cooked up, and I think this one gets home. I do. I think we see this thing cash in, and we were close last time. Who blew it last time? Let me see who it was. I'll look up it later. Who cares? It's in the rear view. All right, this one's a 3-teamer. Phoenix, I think they win the game. They're down 0-2 in the series. They desperately need this game tonight. I mean, they cannot lose. If they lose this game tonight, boom, series is over. It's done. There's nothing you can do about it. Phoenix wins this game on their home floor tonight. No doubt about that one. That is probably my most confident part of this parlay. The second one, a little bit scary, but we're going with Philly, all right? Philly, again, we just talked about it. They got embarrassed in the last game. I don't want to say they have to win this game, but it's a huge game if they don't win this game, if the series kind of tilts back to Boston, where even if they go 2-2 here, I think they might be in trouble. Philly, I think, needs to win these 2 home games after getting embarrassed last game with the public all over Boston. Give me the 76ers tonight. And to close it out, we're going to the Cubs, Geoff. We're gonna lock them in on the money line at and that'll take us to plus 461. So almost 500 that we get on this parlay. I think that this one cashes in tonight. If you want to kind of lower the juice a little bit, you could take the spread for Philly at +2, or, you know, if you want to get crazy, maybe take the Cubs run line instead of money line and beef it up a little bit. That's fine also. I am very confident, though, that we start our weekend off smacking a plus 461 parlay. What do you think, Geoff? You think we get this one? I know you like the Nuggets, so that might be the only part we're off on.
Yeah, I know it's Friday night, a little dangerous. 461. I lean the Nuggets. Obviously, I think the Suns win the game, I guess, in theory, which would maybe have me wait before I'd actually bet the Nuggets to win the title.
Yes.
Right, let them lose tonight. They'd even be underdogs in game 4. That would obviously be baked into the line. It will no longer feel like they're going to cakewalk to the conference final. I don't know, little Friday night magic, get the weekend rolling for you.
I think it gets there. I do. I think that, like you said, it's a weekend. Vibes are good. Everything's good. Why not? Why can't we lock this in and cash it in? And then before we head out, guys, I did promise that I'd bring back the ladder pick for today. And that's going to be, I think you guys know what it's going to be. We need plus money. We're going to my Sixers. So we're actually we're going to start this thing at plus 120. And that's how we're kicking it off. So Sixers money line tonight. That will get us going. We're cashing this in. We know how good the ladder picks have been long term. So we're going to get to that today. There it is. We even got a quick graphic up. 76ers money line plus 120. That's going to get us rolling. That's going to get us in the right direction. And this is the one that we win, an NBA playoff ladder. I think we can make it through. It's been a great playoff so far. So that's going to be how we're kicking it off. Let's do it. So guys, it's been a great week with all of you. Obviously, we had the Spaces on Monday. We had the show Wednesday, which was great. I'm due for a big day, Geoff. I've been a little cold overall the last couple of days. I know we were talking, maybe we're in the same boat there with yesterday. So I think a show sweep would be necessary for today. What do you think?
I got a little cocky after, I think, the Monday show sweep. Right?
Yeah, the book. I think the books humbled us. Yeah. We did come on here like, all right, we swept. The Wednesday show is okay. It was just not great. This is going to be great. So you know what? I would say that we're due for a sweep. I would go as far as saying that. I do think that we sweep this one up tonight. Huge card. And again, these games do start pretty soon. We got a couple hours until the Cubs get going. So guys, it has been a great time with all of you today. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Let's have a fantastic weekend. No shows this weekend. We will be back on our Twitter Spaces episode on Monday, and then we will have the videos again on Wednesday and Friday. Just real quick, guys, before we get out of here, make sure to follow oddschecker US on Twitter at oddschecker US. Give them a look. Subscribe to the YouTube channel as well at oddschecker US. And we will see all of you back on Monday. Hope everybody has a fantastic weekend. Let's get hot. Let's cash in. We'll see you then.